All right, we are live. You all, you know what? Every time it's time for me to do my show, I'm a team of one, right? So, got to get all the streams and everything hooked up. But we are here. Welcome, welcome back to another episode on the Walk and Power podcast. I am your host, Coach Carmen B, CEO of Healthy Energy, Actively Living, also known as Heal, where I am partnering with you to cultivate sustainable success. Sorry, to cultivate health for sustainable success through leadership transformation. Because listen, everything we do comes from us. And if we are not well, if we are not full, if we're not taking care of ourselves, the things that we pour out won't take care of the people that we want it to take care of and won't have the impact that we want it to have. So, cultivating wellness, cultivating optimal health is a really big part of living your best life, right? Of doing all the things that you were put here to do. Now, it's been a minute. It's been a minute since we've been here on the podcast. I literally haven't been here since the beginning of the year because life has life. So many things have happened since the first podcast I did in the beginning of the year. I would say just getting the flu in the beginning of the year was definitely a major setback for me. Okay. If you got the flu this year, you know exactly what I'm talking about because this flu that we had this year was something different. Okay. Then I welcomed a new grandson. And once I got over the flu, which took way longer than I expected, I just had to really think about what I could handle, right? And that's balance. Understanding that sometimes when life doesn't go the way you want it to go or need it to go, some things have to come off the plate. And when there's space for it, you bring it back on. So that's where I was in regards to doing podcast episodes. And I'm being honest with you. At first, it was really hard because I committed to showing up here bi-weekly. I committed to doing these shows regularly so that I can connect with you and just continue to bring you great information and great content that supports your life vision, but also like it helps me. It keeps me accountable to my life vision as well. And I started to just feel really bad and beat up on myself a little bit for not being able to be here, right? Not just not being here, not being able. And like that's the most important part of this was ability. I couldn't do it, yet I was still struggling with the fact that I wasn't here. But after practicing self-compassion, being kind with myself and remind myself that right now I have to heal so that I can show up as my best self. I embraced it. I embraced the healing. And now I'm here. So super excited to be here with you. Let me tell you something. The first quarter of the year was like a roller coaster. I'm telling you, like so many highs and lows. Of course, the flu was definitely a low. Welcoming my new grandson, Jalen, was definitely a high. But, just participating in so many different events throughout the city of Boston, through just the first quarter, all of the opportunities that I secured in the first quarter to do trainings and speaking, like all of those things that were still happening while I was down, it just reminds me that despite what I'm going through, God is still working, right? Like He is still working on my behalf. He is still making sure that I'm good. So I'm entirely grateful for that. I hope you all can hear me well. If you are struggling to hear me, just please let me know. Let me know if you can hear me in the chat because um, sometimes these mics work well, sometimes they don't. But, anyways, I really have been thinking a lot about the topic around discipline. And ever since I was young, you always hear the importance of being disciplined, right? How much discipline can support you in achieving your goals, right? And manifesting your life vision and just becoming that better version of you. So I'm just gonna get ready to jump right in because y'all know I could talk about life like forever, but I'm going to jump into the topic tonight because I really would love to also just hear from you and hear your thoughts on what I'm going to be sharing tonight. And so we're talking about discipline. Is discipline really the answer to success? And if you are tuning in, feel free to just chime in the chat. Let me know where you're tuning in from. But yeah, my question to you is, do you believe that discipline is the answer to success? If you answer yes, you're not alone because I always believed that discipline is the answer to our success, right? Like if we say we want to do something, if we know that we need to take care of something, right, we have to discipline ourselves. And discipline is really showing up even on the days you don't want to, right? Showing up on the days when it's hard, on the days where you're struggling, the days that you're tired, just showing up. But I keep thinking, because let me tell y'all something. I'm a thinker. Okay. And when I get something in my mind, it really doesn't leave until I like get some answers or get to the bottom of it. And so I've been thinking a lot about the word discipline lately because some of the work that I do with my clients is also centered around discipline, making sure that they're showing up for themselves, making sure that they're doing the things that they said they wanted to do, making sure they're keeping their promises, right? The promises that they've made to themselves in order to build that confidence and that self belief in their abilities, right? And in their ability to be successful. I was on social media the other day and I saw a quote. And that quote said, discipline will solve 99% of y'all's problems, right? And first I was like, yes, absolutely. If people could just be more disciplined, right? If people could just show up more often than they don't, most of the things that they want to experience or achieve will be manifested. But again, that quote would not leave my head, and I kept pondering on it. Is it true? So tonight, what I want to do is a deep dive as I've given this topic some more thought. A dive into how discipline can actually be harmful. Now, I believe there was always two sides to a coin, baby. Okay, no matter what it is, there are always two sides to the coin. And as I began to think deeper about this topic, I realized there is another side to discipline, a side that can actually harm you, set you back, keep you stuck. All the things that you may be struggling with may be actually due to your discipline. So let's go ahead and just dive in a little bit. So, what I'm going to give you tonight is 3 points, right? 3 ways that discipline may be harming you. I want to encourage you, grab your notebook, grab your pen pad, and let's get into it because I'm going to offer or deliver some thought provoking content. And I know it's thought provoking because it forced me to do some deep thinking about my own discipline, right? I'm going to ask you some questions. And this is something that I really want you to reflect on, right? You take this opportunity to reflect on your discipline and then to assess whether or not your discipline is holding you back, harming you, or pushing you forward to becoming the version of yourself that you know that you are continuously working toward, right? Take a little sip of my tea here. Yo, I am drinking this peach ginger tea that is absolutely amazing. If you're a tea drinker like me, I'm gonna tell you, get you some peach ginger tea, okay? It's bomb. Actually, one time I made fresh peach ginger tea. My god sister went peach picking, and brought me home some beautiful peaches, and I boiled them suckers with some ginger, and it was amazing. All right, I digress. Coming back. So the first point. The first point I want to make tonight is being disciplined to take actions that may be actually harming you. So y'all know I had to get my notes so I stay on track, because you know when your girls start talking and then sometimes I forget what in the world I was even talking about. Okay? So I'm just gonna just share, right? Like some of us are so committed to certain habits, certain behaviors, certain thoughts, right? And have never really stopped to think about whether these thoughts, habits, behaviors are actually harming us or pushing us forward. And what I've had to learn over time is that just because I'm used to doing something a certain way, just because I was taught to do something a certain way, just because it's a routine, doesn't make it a good discipline. So when I think about my jobs that I've had over the years, I think about how disciplined I was to get up every single day and show up for a job that I did not like. To get up every single day and be at that job on time. Make sure that everything they asked me to do was done on time to meet all of my deliverables. Because you know what? At the end of the day, bills got to get paid, food has to get put on the table. Yet, at the end of each day, I was emotionally and mentally drained. But you learn, right? When you get a job, you show up, you give your all, you give your best no matter what. Even if it's harming you, do you continue to pour even if something's not pouring back into you? Right? So we hear these things. We hear these things and we move forward because of what the messages we receive when we're younger, what we're taught, what we were shown, the behaviors that we watched from the people in our lives. And we tell ourselves that's the way to do it. Right. And so when we are showing up for things that aren't serving us, right? Another really bad habit that I had was waking up every single day. And the first thing I would do was turn on the news. Where did I get that from? That's what I did with my grandmother while I was growing up. However, the news does not fill me. Right. So getting up every day, turning on the news, hearing all the craziness that's happening in the world, seeing all, especially now, right? Like imagine, well, some of you may, but waking up first thing in the morning and putting that in your spirit. And so I had to make a change, right? To what my morning routine was going to look like. And it did not start with the news. It may end with the news. Okay, let me see what the weather is. Let me see if there's anything I need to know. And a very limited amount of it. But I had to change that habit because it was not serving me. And we know that once we start watching the news, we really don't move. We kind of just sit still. But there were so many other things I could be doing with my morning, right? Some of us are disciplined to overwork, right? Some of us are disciplined to work from the time we wake up to work until the time we go to bed because we watch the people in our lives go hard. And we tell ourselves, all the people in my life was hard workers, so I have to be a hard worker too, even though it doesn't feel good, even though it's causing you your health and well-being, even though it's challenging your mental health, even though you've had to put your needs on the back burner so that you can continue to be a hard worker like you were taught to be, right? What else? Right? Some of you are disciplined to skip meals, right? Or how about this? Some of you were disciplined to overeat. Now, I'm Hispanic, okay, mother and father from Honduras. And if you know, you know. One thing people from Spanish cultures are going to do is eat, honey. And I mean eat, okay? So growing up, my grandmother always cooked huge meals, and my plate was always packed. And what was it packed with? loads of starches and fried foods. So as I was growing up, I was disciplined to eat those kind of foods because they were from my culture. That's what we eat, right? And dare I try to veer off to try something else? Oh my God, my family would go crazy. So think about the disciplines that you have that were either passed down or maybe developed over time as a way to protect yourself or as a way to get ahead. And the things that you are disciplined to do, the question is, are they helping you or are they harming you? Right? And what can you do? What can you do to begin making a shift around those habits, around those thoughts? I also think about, being a leader and being taught that as a Black woman in leadership, you don't show emotion, right? You don't show emotion. You get up, you come to work, you let them know that you deserve to be here, you deserve a seat at this table, and you work hard to prove, right? Hard to prove that you belong in that seat. I became disciplined to be a strong Black woman. And what did that come with? Years of stress, overwhelm, depression, anxiety, exhaustion, and burnout. And even when all of those things are present, I still showed up as the strong Black woman because that's what I was disciplined to do. That's who I was disciplined to be. And I had to make that conscious decision to shift, to take off that cape of the strong Black woman. And so, this is a great opportunity for you to ask yourself about your disciplines and the areas that you're disciplined in. So, that was point number 3, because I'm doing a countdown. I don't know if I said one already, but it's actually point number 3 because there's a countdown how I listed it here. Okay, because I'm going to end with the banger. Okay, I'm going to end with the banger. All right, this is another really big one. As so many of us like this, right? Disciplined without flexibility. Oh my God. Okay, let me see what okay, here's what I wrote about being disciplined without flexibility. Some of us come up with goals, plans, that life vision, how we see ourselves and exactly who we need to be in order to become her. And we can get so rigid in those plans that it causes stress and anxiety. Because what happens when you can't show up? Like I mentioned earlier, I was down with the flu. I was down with the flu, could not show up, could not do all the things that I wanted to do, including show up for this podcast. And I kept telling myself I could do it, but my body couldn't move. And so what happened? Immediately I started to talk negatively, like, come on, you're stronger than this. You can get up. You can get up and talk. You can get up and do some work. Like you don't have to leave your house. Even though my body was screaming for rest, right? So how does being disciplined without flexibility harm you? Right? You really start to beat up on yourself. You start to talk negatively to yourself. You start to get down on yourself for not being able to do things or being too tired. What I want to remind you is your goals are your goals. Your timelines are your timelines, right? That vision that you set for yourself is your vision. And you can be flexible and make shifts anytime you want. So perfect example, I wake up every day at 4:30 a.m. However, there are some days where I may need more rest. So when I wake up at 4:30 a.m., I engage in a lot of reading between 4:30 and about 5:45, right? I am just reading through several books. I pick several books that I'm going to read. And that is something I am disciplined to do. I am disciplined to wake up at 4:30 a.m. and dive into my reading, my daily devotion, my prayer, all of the things, my journaling, all of that I am disciplined to do. However, in a spirit of flexibility, Those mornings when my body is saying, sis, seriously, I need a little more rest. I might say, you know what? I'm gonna wake up at 5:30 instead today, and today I'll just do my devotion. I'm not gonna read all the books this morning. Right? Now, if I didn't do that, I would be telling myself, you're being lazy. You can do this. Remember the promises you made to yourself. And then I would just stay up, not really eat what I'm reading, right? Not really be able to receive what I'm reading because I'm so tired. Then I would go through the rest of my day angry at myself for not getting more rest and kind of just miserable and struggling to do the tasks that are before me or struggling to engage with the people in my life or even the people that I work with, right? And so being disciplined with flexibility is the way to go, is understanding that at the end of the day, this is my life. I get to make the rules for how I take care of myself day in and day out, right? Choosing to be flexible is not failure. It's self compassion, it's self love. So, no matter what you've promised yourself, the only time that I would say, hey, sis, you get it together is if you keep making excuses like, yeah, I'm being flexible. I haven't done it in 3 weeks. No, 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 no. Sis, you're going to fall off because now you're going to lose the thing that you've been disciplined to do, right? And feel like, oh, it's so hard to start back up. And usually what people do is they just don't start again, right? But it's okay along the journey to be flexible with your goals, to be flexible with the promises you made to yourself. If you said, hey, 3 to 4 days a week, I'm going to be working out in the gym for 1 hour. But maybe there's something going. Maybe you have meetings today. Maybe it was a more tiring day. Maybe you just don't have the time. All right, today I'm doing 30 minutes. Today I'm doing 20 minutes. Be flexible. I'm never going to say just don't do the thing, but ask yourself, where can I flex here so that I can still show up for myself, still love on myself, still contribute to filling my cup, and do all of the other things that I need to do, right? And the thing is, think about it like this. We give so much grace and flexibility to others. If someone cancels a meeting on you, oh, it's okay. When would you like to reschedule, right? If someone shows up late, that's my pet peeve. That is my pet peeve. But whatever. If someone shows up late, oh, no worries, even though it's your time. And so, why can't we offer that ourselves that same level of compassion and love when things aren't necessarily moving in the direction that we want it to? Or if we're just having a different day. Listen, every day is different, right? Like no day is the same. Some days I wake up more tired than others, and then there are other days where I wake up and I am the energizer bunny, honey. Okay, and so I give myself that grace because I deserve it, right? I know who I am, I know where I'm going, and I know that I will never abandon myself. So I can give myself that love and that joy and that peace in that moment and that grace. Okay. Lastly, this is a really big one for me. It's a big one because I feel like it's a ladder I was on for a very long time in my life, but I also feel like some of you may be struggling with this as well, right? So, disciplined in the wrong direction. Now, I just have to tell you what I said here, right? So you're showing up every day, right? So this is when you're showing up every day. I kind of talked a little about this in the first one. Showing up every day, being consistent, grinding hard, putting in all the time, all the effort. But the things that you're showing up for, the things that you're grinding on, the things that you're putting all your time and effort to are not aligned. Let me say that again. Are not aligned with your vision and the purpose on your life. And so sometimes we ask ourselves, man, I've been doing all this work. I've been showing up. I've been making sure that I take care of stuff. I've been doing all the things that should bring me joy and fulfillment. Why am I still so unhappy? Why am I still so unfulfilled? right? Because you've been disciplined in the wrong direction. I always talk about the fact that I got 3 degrees. I was about to go like this, y'all. 3 degrees, right? I got 3 degrees. And every time I graduated from college, I was like, okay, well, this is not enough. Maybe if I go back and get the next one, something will unlock for me. Got that. Still felt this is not enough. Maybe if I go back to college again and get another degree, something will unlock for me. Well, guess what? After the third one, nothing unlocked, right? Because the path that I was traveling on was not aligned with my true self. All the degrees that I got had nothing to do with my purpose. And I'll be honest, like I'm not gonna say they didn't open doors for me, but they weren't the doors. They're not doors that I would walk through now. Now, I will say this. For every opportunity I had while being disciplined in the wrong direction, I found my purpose in those places because being a wellness coach, being a health advocate was never far from my heart. Right. So every job I had, I found a way to incorporate wellness in my jobs. I always started some walking groups or a day of beauty where people will kind of just get pampered and have some self-care and do some yoga. I mean, every single job, when I look back, I found a way to bring me into a position that wasn't designed, right, with my purpose or desires in mind. But at that time, I didn't think that that was something that I should be a direction of what the direction of wellness is where I should be walking. I needed to walk in the direction that had shiny titles, that had big dollars attached to it, that made me look good. And even though they had shiny titles, big dollars attached to it, and made me look good, I never felt good because I was disciplined in the wrong direction, right? So some of us equate being busy, checking all the boxes, the degrees, the house, the car, the kids, the man, the job, all the things. We check off all these boxes and say, it's my discipline that got me here. Maybe it did. But are you happy? After you checked all those boxes, are you happy? Have you asked yourself, is this really where I want to be? Or is there something else that is calling on my heart? Is there another calling on my life? Something else that I've been dreaming of doing but afraid to do because it's not in the boxes. Right? It's not a part of the boxes that I designed or that were designed for me. Some of us are living someone else's life, our mom's life, our father's life, right? Doing all the things that they did. Oh, my mom was a nurse, so I became a nurse. My father was a police officer, so I became a police officer, right? Like all of the things, think about who made that decision for you? Or how did you make that decision? Was it based on what was in your heart or based on what you saw in the world? And then you have to make that decision to get aligned in the right direction. Because until you are aligned and disciplined in the right direction, you will always feel like something is missing. I felt like something was missing my whole life. My whole life, right? So, how are you going to make that assessment, right? And so, I wrote here that the only way to assess if your discipline is working for you is to have clarity on who you are and your life vision and to refer to it as often as possible, right? And that's how you're able to assess if it's working for you or against you, right? Have clarity. You have to be very clear on who you are and what you stand for. I am so clear on who I am as Coach Carmen B and what I stand for and who I stand for. right? I stand for you, babe. I stand for you, right? I advocate for your wellness, for your health and well-being. Support you on becoming that version of yourself that's happy, healthy, joyful, all of those things, right? But I had to find that within myself for, and that became my being. And now everywhere I go, that's what I'm pouring out, right? So I'm very clear. I have a very clear view of what my vision is. I know who's with me, what it feels like, where I'm living, what I'm wearing, all the things, what I'm doing, what is that vision? And having clarity on those things, and then looking at where you are disciplined and asking yourself, does this align with who I am and what I want for myself? All right. So that is all I have for you this evening. I really wanted to keep it short and sweet. So we did about 30 minutes. I'm very proud of myself, right? Because nobody wants an hour-long podcast. Well, if the topic is good and the conversation is having, okay. But I just want to thank you for tuning in, and I hope that you just take a minute to assess your discipline. Assess the areas that you're disciplined in. Just ask yourself those really hard questions. Is this helping me or is it harming me? How is it, what direction is this discipline leading me in? And does that align with my life vision? Does that align with the woman I'm becoming, the woman I aspire to evolve into? And if it is harming you, then it's time to make a decision. It's time to make a decision to put yourself first, right? It's time to make a decision to release anything that is standing in the way of you becoming her. And if you need some support with that, please feel free to reach out to me. We can jump on a clarity call and I can just help you to do that assessment around where you are and where you want to be, right? Because that is so important. Listen, we cannot go through this whole life just wondering what if, or maybe, or hoping, right? There needs to be that sense of clarity and certainty, right? Clarity and certainty about who I am and where I'm going. And every day, in everything I do, I'm manifesting that version of myself and my life. Thank you for tuning in on this episode of the Walk in Power podcast. And until next time, beautiful people, walk in power. Peace.